Why is the thing not capturing? There we am. Yeah, boy.
Welcome back to FNCS Europe. We're one game into the Major 2 Grand Finals, and Queasy, Swizzy and Moustache took that victory royale in style, and they took it from long-term Queasy rivals Cami, I should say, Betty and Harry. We'll talk about them in a moment, but first of all, we want to talk about the team that came second in Major 1, because Malabuka, Pig and Wox. I did maybe slightly put the cat amongst the pigeons mini minor in the pre-show where I was saying
Let me get scored over group before chat.
consistency was going to be like going into the finals, but they've already.
I know Mr. Savage is like 14th, I think, or 22nd.
From these guys, I'm sure they would have liked to end a little bit better, but what they're happy with there is just making it to this end game, ensuring that they can really frag out. There's a few moments there as well.
Currently, Swizzy, Queasy, and Moustache is
and it's nice to see them playing with this
number
sort of
one.
freedom that they know they can play at. And for them, it's just about keeping on making these end games. This is what I was talking about. Just these pre-edits coming through. No team can do anything against that when you have the prowess of Malabuka, Wox, and Ping. And I think it's just one of those teams that we expect to frag out in end games. It's just making it there, making it into those positions consistently. That's what's going to be most.
Pino's 8.
No, you gassed me up when you were saying that, because it's facts. That is just vintage Malabuka. We've seen him do this literally for years.
Season 12.
Yes, right?
Moneymaker's 13th.
On mid-ground.
I kind of forgot about that guy, I'll be honest.
But now he's got two top shooters with him in Ping and Wox. I think I want to see more of that from them, right? Like,
Mr. Savage 14.
Keep being a menace, keep being, you know, ruthless on those.
Okay, scores coming up now.
Their end games aren't always the cleanest, right? They might not, you know, get a bunch of wins playing that way, but they're going to get a bunch of elims. They're going to make it deep into games, and that's what counts sometimes when you're trying to compete for the title.
I also really love watching Fortnite, because in the end game, sometimes you see trios pop up and you see these names and you go, oh yeah, it's nice to see them again, because it's lovely to see Giras making it to the end game with his teammates Franek and Dinas. They were picking up eliminations left, right and centre, Levin.
Yeah.
They're amazing on Fortnite still.
I enjoy watching Fortnite. I hope so.
I thought they left.
No, just do it for the money.
I don't like it.
No, it's funny. I like
That was a joke.
No, me too. Sometimes I'm like,
Of course.
That's all right sometimes.
That's
Look,
decent.
this trio, we highlighted them a bit at the start about, you know, talking about sort of the Ospel situation for them. They've been a very solid team at Canyon Crossing, right? And they are one of those teams, I think we get them every single major mini, that are just a sleeper team with a really good game plan and a really good strategy. I think any zones that pull towards sort of the southwest,
Okay.
right? This zone was a bit of a foxy zone, so more central, right? But any zones that
Is Mongo in
central
FNCS? I
in
don't
the
think he is,
southwest
is he?
area, I think you can expect to see this team in the end game. They have those zones figured out.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from Giras. I spoke about it when I was casting, that he actually coached
Didn't
his
Mongrel
teammates
go dipping
previously.
again?
Now, of course, didn't qualify into Major 1 finals. Now he's actually playing with them this major.
Yeah, no,
And
he's
sort
not-
of
he's
seeing
not
the
finals
structure
anyway.
to their game. I was sort of looking back, and they were actually doing quite similar to what Queasy did when we broke down at the beginning of the show, sort of staying back in Storm. Really nicely done.
Well, you know what we spoke about at the beginning of the show? We spoke about Vico Venno and Flixie dropping at Mars Meadows, but Levin, I can see the look on your face now, because they didn't actually do what we were expecting them to do.
Look, I told you, if they can pull off what they want to pull off, they might shock the world, right? And this is just the beginning of that. Who knows where it goes? I might know, but I'm not going to say. We're just going to have to wait and see where it goes from here. They started off with Outlaw Oasis.
Bro, the game is so laggy.
Nobody was expecting it. And they just cleaned house, Millie.
Yeah, I mean, if this is going to be what they're going to do now, I mean, they're going to go into it with a lot of confidence, right? It seems like Janus, experienced FNCS veterans, going down or spawn. That confidence.
Valorant has a lot of things to fix in their game for tournaments, but Fortnite had to fix the replay system or whatever they're using. That is so laggy, bro.
Because it seems like Mars Meadows isn't necessarily going to be their drop spot choice.
Yeah, but like, if we theorize here, right? If they just land in a bunch of different places where teams are fighting off spawn and clean up those fights, like they're the best team in the world to do that, right? This could really work for them and be a cook of a strategy.
No one is going to be expecting the Veno Inquisition. I can't wait to see where they're dropping next, boys. Observers, make sure that we've got the cameras fixed on those guys every single game, please. We have got to head into game number 2, though. So let's head back to Taco and Takata and find out where those boys are dropping.
See, Levin's scared me a little bit, Frankie. He's given me a bit of concerns because he's like, okay, you know, Venovico Flixie, they landed at this new drop spot on Expected Outlaw. They got the eliminations, but now it's going to be expected going into this next match. Are they just going to keep going through different POIs each game? Like, how do you plan out that? I got so many questions, Taco.
And the other issue too is for the rest of the lobby, you can't even get too caught up in thinking about.
I don't think the things that you sent edge on.
You gotta focus on your own game plan. If match 1 didn't pan out in your favor,
I
that's
know
not
it's
to
censored.
say that game 2 couldn't be yours for the taking. So a lot of these teams just gonna keep their eyes on the prize, and that's getting off to
more
a steady
centered, right?
start here in day 1.
Yeah, normally you think
Yeah, that's more
the
center.
surprises are kind of out of the way going into game 2, but we'll see if that's the matter because the match will start right now.
You know, we had a special request from the desk to get a nice little perspective of what's taking place with Veno, Vico, and Flixie. But like we just talked about, Takata, there are other teams looking to throw their names into the hat for that Blade of Champions, and building up a nice lead for day 1 heading into day 2 is always a huge benefit to the master plan.
Kind of looking at the mini-map, okay, I see a few names at Outlaws, but is it as much as there was in the last match? We will be looking, though, at kind of the 50-50 drop that isn't gonna be a 50-50 per se, as maybe I might have ate my words, Taco, because shots are already being
That's
traded.
best television edition, Jackie.
Shots were traded, but Z Andy is actually paying the price elsewhere. Mr. Savage, the deal, Reason, they're going to be the first ones to touch down. Might be a short-lived victory, though, just on the other end of the Big Ben tunnel of a hollow. Too much pressure. Those are the tags that you have to land this early on. And now the advantage has been completely split into the Deals team's favor. Nam's going to be forced to bail out the opposite direction. But they are just so separated from each other. It's going to be so much easier now for Reason's team to just fully take over.
Yeah, looking like a 2-0 so far, as we go back over to Vico, Veno, and Flixie. And it looks like they're going all over the place, Taco.
Yeah, they've opted to go completely different. Lovely lane type of scene, so they might still be looking to try and push a little bit south. Those teams that they know are going to be contesting each other early on. The fact of the matter is, though, if I'm Teeny especially, I am looking at Veno and Raz and just
I like how Freedom split up a little bit. A bit more map coverage, but I want them to get a fight, then they can't screw it.
But Veno, Vico, and Flixie, they're definitely the
But you know the
source
IGL
of
now.
their own identity with this kind of strategy, Takata. And it seems like Whiffy Wharf is on the mind, but does the other team that's already inbound at Whiffy even know of what's about to take place? Veno
Peter Butt.
down first.
Peter
Team.
Butt. It's Peter Butt. Wait, what is it? What's his name?
Try to do what he can.
Peter
create
Butt.
some space. Zangi and Zara, they're gonna
I thought I was watching it NA as well, I don't know why. If I'm more to the EU.
Peter just exclusively on the run right now. He does not want anything to do with Veno. He wants the reinforcements before taking up this fight. And Veno, this is what makes him so clever. A cut above the rest, just constantly keeping tabs. He spots 2 players. I know there's one still lurking. I'm not going to overexpose myself.
Veno's looking fast. I like the way it's looking right now. They clearly prepared to take these fights. Zara's already gonna get cracked. This isn't even their original drop spot, but they're just going from drop to drop, taking fights on trios all over the map, and as good as fighters as they are, if they're able to consistently close these out, this is going to be the first time well, it is literally the first time we've ever witnessed a playstyle like this. I'm trying to think overall, not only in the major finals, especially on purpose.
Tina Misha, who really kick-started the whole ordeal a while back, but even still, in trios, Flixie might be on the receiving end of trouble, though. Vico, Veno, they're just too quick with it. Zara claimed. That's one elimination in tow. 2 left to go. You know this is their search strategy, and Vico just immediately jumps in, but Vico, for a moment, thought we'd have to worry, but it's Vico that we're talking about after all. That's his next elimination in sight. Clean trio wipe here at Whiffy Wharf, and it's that time to elimination. Veno, Vico, and Flixie get it done so fast.
Now it's about what's next, though. Have they really prepared the rotates from all of these different drop spots? How are they going to play out those mid games, switching it up every time? We'll see how it goes. As right now, Giras, Franek, Dynas trying to see if they can at least get a bit of tags here on Hellfire, Scrapped, and Trip. Not too much aggression, but kind of just shots back and forth.
It's quite literally an uphill battle, though, for Tripper, and it's what it's felt like this entire season so far. Tripper is not willing to be a bystander, though. Probably just happy to be a participant for the Major 2 finals, so they're definitely going to want to try and win out at that last exchange. Focus, Janice, and for Strokey, they have certainly won Outlaw Oasis when you see 3 elims on Focus, but F9, Moneymaker, Faded, they might be making an introduction that is not accounted for.
Reason said, I'm not letting you go untouched here as Noms gets taken out. They already got that initial pick to start off game 2 here, now picking up Noms. Just 1 player left in the trio, but you kind of want to insert, you know, the dominance, especially after getting the pick early on. You don't want to let them freely roam, kind of like they did in game 1, and find themselves at another trio in order to be the ones to kind of put an end to it, as it looks like Savage is gonna kind of continue making his way. As they might even be able to use this chase as a rotate in a sense as well, if they want to go kind of that east side on congested route. A lot less trios contested around there, though, so
oh no, I'm good. I don't need that program much. All the happens here much, bro.
Is Queasy, Swizzy, Merstash going to be waiting for them if they take that route? A lot of things to consider here.
There's just no reason not to follow Twy, though, because even if he manages to get a little bit of distance from Reason's trio, they're right by Mass Meadows.
They're all chasing one person just for kill.
So Savage's team will have no issues replenishing any heals that they might lose along the way. They're definitely willing to commit, spending a little bit of time inside of the storm. Sky Scroll and Eyedrop. This is a team, though, that's been relatively quiet throughout match number 1. And it's also a team where Eyedrop specifically is looking to beat the finals allegation stigma. He wants to prove that he's got what it takes for that top tier placement.
Hey, Minnie believes in it. I believe in it too. For Vanya, Marius, and Pixie. This is a trio that has been kind of dominating Flooded Frogs throughout the season. In the divisional cups, playing incredibly consistent as well. And it should be no different here in the major finals. They've got their plan routed out, and they know what they need to do to get themselves to the late game. But right now, the step is kind of just taking shots, doing damage.
Good damage.
I don't think they're going to take any risks here.
Looking at the amount of heals and goodies that were at the top of that stairwell. Faded for 9, Moneymaker, though, they finally got what they were after. It was a fight with Strokey's team, but Giannis seemingly has the advantage. Strokey down in the low ground. Giannis getting a nice pop shot onto Faded from above. That's going to be green light to go. Knows that he's cracked, but they're still willing to just wait it out. There's not many places left to run when you are inside of Sakura Stadium, so they're willing to just stick to the high ground. Don't take any unnecessary risk. Focus for Strokey, Giannis. They want to close this one out, though. You can definitely tell that they are
I don't think
more involved. well, but
Genesis team has the heals for the storm fight. They kind of need to like.
Seem like could be part of the reason why they're so hesitant to actually push forward. Vico, Veno, and Flixie, they're also looking to gather their resources just from raw fighting strategy.
Look, they are comfortable with this side of the map. They did land flooded
Oh
frogs
damn! They're
last
taking
season.
out people.
They know very well how to play this north side out. So, in terms of kind of the rotate here and doing damage, they're just looking for openings, looking for options.
Piboza and Zangi took eliminated.
Kind of going back and forth there. Luckily enough, the zone did pull north, so they have the choice to just continue on the full uncongested side and not take a lot of those risks that the trios down south are going to have to on their
I'm
line.
gonna make it
They
dead.
can conserve a lot of the materials and heals, so it's looking good in my opinion for Vico, Veno, and Flixie here, as long as they don't do anything too risky.
One problem that's building, though, is Veno. He's got Darkisa's trio directly underneath where they are currently boxed. And sure, you want to take the odd shot or two at iDrop's team, but you can't find yourself being sandwiched in the process. So Veno using that natural elevation to cover, prevent
get back to Storm.
any line of sight from iDrop and just try to
Far
deal
in.
with the immediate threat, and that's Felix and Darkis. But Felix beamed the moment that he tries to
Yo, what's up,
overhead
Sparks?
view.
Long time no see, bro. How you been doing?
Flixie, they're gonna opt for a full wraparound disengage, just taking advantage of the campfire now. Settled on the beach. Sure, they might be a little bit out northwest from where the rest of the lobby is currently fixated, but that's not a concern when they have so many.
I wish somebody would X-Fight.
Benign definitely wishes he had something to replenish his HP. Instead, a victim.
It's unlucky for Faded.
Janice's trio and their aggressive nature.
Yeah, this
Moneymaker?
is the fight we were kind of seeing. Ended
Ooh.
up playing it out. And now they, have the option to make their way back into zone.
I've been alright, Sparks. Not too bad.
Look here at Ferdoxy,
I'm a little bit ill, but I'm right.
Pablo, and Chino. Looks like they found
Not too
Rob
shabby.
here in a
Good to hear that you're doing
tough
good, bro.
situation. No.
What you been up to?
Okay, not bad. Few eliminations, still at hopeful, but like we've mentioned before, so many trios just playing in zone for an incredibly long period of time. What I'm thinking now is they rotate into zone. They have to pass through.
How Valorant going?
They have to pass through Cammy and Seti potentially.
Honestly, I have not played Valorant in 3 days. My Wi-Fi is not going well at the moment. My Wi-Fi is on life support. The fact I'm able to stream FNCS, like, watch party is kind of insane. But apart from that, ranked has not been going well. It has been hell. But again, that's like every game, innit? It's always like a rank where you're gonna struggle to climb, and that happens in every game. It's just one of those things. So I guess good. I guess like, at a competitive standpoint, it's good for me, since it'll kind of like warm me up more, you know, like, to make me like improve. We've got a new Valorant video coming out at roughly around the end of the month. What day is it today? 26? We'll have a video coming out in like 2 or 3 days on Valorant.
That is a huge blow. Chapentini, they wanted to go unscathed from this exchange. Instead, they're going to have to opt to play fallback now. They need their full trio intact if they want that end game.
Are we going to school?
This is such
Fair
a
enough, fair
massive
enough.
delay for them to have to play for the reboot.
You got exams coming up, don't you?
It's tough. It's fourth zone. I mean, fifth one is the last one at 1 DPS per second. And they really can't take too much time here. Not only that, now they have the issue of getting chased.
Wait, there's 12 games in FNCS? I thought it was only 6, no?
There's more than enough heals to play this one in
When did they
zone.
change it to 12 games?
Teeny left alone, it is just crumbling.
I thought only
down
6.
for this trio.
The only real silver lining, hold that thought though, cringe.
Twee died.
Good cue.
Risen getting
There's a
kills.
serious problem here. He's not willing to let Teeny
A couple months, fair
slip
enough.
on, but
But good luck in them.
no
I'm
choice.
pretty sure you do well, bro.
Kiduo,
Like, as long as you get your best, you're chilling.
other teams that have been
For me,
a little bit caught up in harm's way
I kind of
here.
trawled in my exams a little bit,
Fully aware
but I
of
still got
fact
the grade I
that
wanted to get, so I'm not too, like, mad at the same time.
nestled right behind him. They're just gonna opt to crouch around. Steady goes on the low ground. Just playing.
Wait, is Falcon the only person alive?
Prime City. Vico, Veno, Felixi, this is not what they were hoping
Look for his
for.
team. I just saw his name
Aggressive, but
in
they
green.
wanted to be the ones doing all the hunting, not getting hunted just turning down
That's huge damage for Vino.
disastrous currently for Veno. He's hoping
Flixie about died, Vicar died, and Vino died.
but he's not gonna find it. Cleaned up and punished for their attempts. Maybe a little overzealous. Maybe just the fact they got stuck between iDrop's team and Darkis's. But regardless, the outcome.
RS? What's RS?
They've been wiped from the lobby incredibly early on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what caused that, initial knock to happen, but what we have to keep in mind is they're down 26th place.
Which that is?
Like, this is something.
But for me, that was called RE, Religious Education, or something like that.
They had a pretty good start with the amount of eliminations, the position they got, but if they get these matches,
French and German is kind of cool to see.
Get a solid placement.
History, JVP, German music,
after looking like a pro-am lobby potentially with all the players
I'm
flying
watching
through the sky.
I can't remember what I picked fully, but obviously English, Maths, Science, the 3 defaults. What else did I do? DIT, Business,
5 eliminations in total, though, so you have to anticipate
and History.
that iDrop's team is definitely massively benefiting as far as their surge damage goes, but I think more importantly still, it's the third-party nature. They were notorious for it all throughout Major 1 and the last season. So
Okay, that is just targeting.
replicate some of those methods of success here.
Guess I'm lucky as well.
A huge momentum swing in their favor. But now they need to translate this early success into a nice late game finish.
Yeah, I mean, they got 4th place last match, ended 6th overall on the leaderboard. They only had 3 eliminations. Now they already have more than what they
I did German GSC last year for fair enough.
What they don't need to do now is keep taking these fights in zone. I think it's kind of time to start
And English, yeah.
Time to start being careful, but scroll 200 to 0 in half a second.
That's
This
crazy.
is an opening for Giraz, Frantic, and Dynus to continue pushing on through.
Real thorn in the side right now for iDrop's team. That is the last thing that they would have expected, is to just be trailed. It's unfortunate for Scroll, but sometimes you gotta be.
I'll probably laugh another couple of hours, yes, Bucks. I'll probably laugh in like another hour or two. I'm not gonna watch all 12 games of FNCS. I'll probably watch like, I don't know how many. But I'll definitely be live later on.
Massive eliminations that are just going to
Good luck in the game, bro. I'll see you later.
Look, Malabuka and Walks have been looking insanely consistent. We talked about them kind of not having the best performance in the play-ins, to match their expectations, and in Week 5, the Divisional Cup Finals, but
Look at him.
even throughout the day, they made it to the late game in the first match. They got a good amount of eliminations. They're looking incredibly set up.
I can see him,
to do
right?
that once again in this second
Yeah,
game.
go.
And Major Finals
So-
all about consistency, so I'm liking what we're seeing so
Bush
far.
Campers and FNCS, love it.
Did Week 5 finals with a grain of salt, because also have to remember that was when Venom's
Storm
team
Surge.
decided we're going to be landing Lone Wolf
510 above.
as well, and then it definitely posed a couple of issues for Malabuka's team in terms
Wait,
of
who's
how they
doing Storm?
handle that, so the
Wait, a lot of people
outcome
were still in Storm.
here in the Major 2 finals weekend is all that they are
Yeah,
intent
good, nice soon.
on focusing for. They're even all boot camping in Germany. They're building up that, I think, synergy as a team. And it could net a really positive end result. But like you already know, Takata, you never want to get too far ahead of yourself. You never want to start to daydream about being in that winning position, because you've got to focus on the here and now.
Gotta lock in, just like Thomas HD with this drum gun, literally doubling the damage from every other player in the group stage that also have the drum gun in their, rightful group. Thomas HD had 6,000 damage just with the drum gun in his group.
His damage is still alive, but low HP, shooting up.
We talked about consistency. Cami Seti,
I probably might have died.
Kari being the most consistent trio, as they played all the divisional cups together. Thomas with Upland Panzer played the last 3 together. They got 6.
Not too bad at mats, but
5th. I mean, you don't get much more consistent than that. So hopefully we'll see the same kind of trend player out here in the major finals.
Have to feel a little bit though for Panzer and
Oh.
Opal exclusively, because everybody knows about Thomas and his placement history, but for Panzer and Opal, they both had relatively solid
280
success.
above
I mean,
Storm
talk
Surge.
about 8th place finish with Panzer's team in the last major. We saw Opal with 6th place, I believe, and there's so much pressure on them now that they've teamed up with Thomas to go that extra
Hey Grayson,
mile
welcome,
to
welcome.
overlap where they were before.
Yeah,
How you doing, bro?
I love about
278 above damage.
Opal and Panzer too is if you compare to their, Thomas's previous teammates, Opal and Panzer have a 41% higher damage ratio compared to his previous teammates. So they are, putting in the work alongside Thomas to finish off those tags, get those extra eliminations, and it's showing in how well they've been playing. But for Noatra, Lex, and Shark being 43 below
They might die.
on the congested side,
They're taking full damage.
so many players around you. It is just not the position you want to be in, Taco.
They are so smushed between their floor layer and just all the teams that are at the bottom of this cliff face. No, Riley wants to get the party started.
Shark
It
might die.
sure is. Everybody underneath just scrambling to get out of dodge. They're not willing to stick around. Pink knows the team above us, they are massively desperate.
There are
We
literally 3
don't
teams
need
there.
to do anything. We'll just tackle the team.
We damage that, you can't even get a bit of storm, bit of damage go above threshold. It's crazy. There we go. Get 2 above. 142.
Make sure that they pay the ultimate price here. Couple of eliminations going big time. But
Pink's making it
Kiro,
out. He's
gonna
alive,
focus
dead.
on reviving Nebs. Cringe and Volko still desperate for that damage, and they find Pink throughout all of it. So now Kiro, he won't be able to stick around. He won't be able to revive Nebs. He's got
Alright, at least he has 660 storm charge protections. That's fine.
Plenty of it. He's got material also to Kata, but what he doesn't have is his teammates.
Savage still alive, 4 HP.
Tough run. And for Swizzy, Queasy, and Merstash coming from winning the
Mustache
first
shouldn't be
game
careful though.
to now being 104.
Wait, so does Queasy. They're all kind of be careful actually. They're all kind of like 2 taps to head.
No spare shields. It looks like what went wrong
1 or 2.
during these rotations. It looks like they might need to look for a refresh early on here. Their mind isn't on high ground. Their mind is getting themselves back into the game.
It's looking like a dominoes effect potentially. The damage that Feno's team caused landing so northwards of the map caused teams to kind of hesitate, kind of stick around, but Merstash makes it
It's
happen.
above, that's
Puts
good.
his team above Big Elim when they needed it most. And that's going to be the first one for this trio even. So surge damage has definitely been an issue for some of these other teams, a little bit more center.
Very
maps
careful though.
behind.
Swizz 1 HP. Queasy can take 2 minutes.
They're content to stay based up.
To the head.
They need more refreshes, and they need to make.
Sounds
it
gonna
value.
irritate.
They need the loot also.
A lot of people on the far right side of the map, but not a lot of action. Like, there's action, but not like action, you know?
Spot and zone, but so many of them are just missing that damage. Blaha's trio's fully cracked. Malibuka's only 86 above. The good news is now's the time. You can't miss the shots as these people that are on the congested side start working their way towards the zone. It looks like
Unlock.
Merstash is left as a solo as well. He's lost his teammates, forced to rotate.
61
in.
below.
Surge, a
Oh.
miracle. It's what he needs to make it out of this one.
Probably needs to either get heals or get a kill or damage. Oh, he's quite far below. He's gonna die. GG.
He's just so fixated on trying to get tags onto the players behind him. Even if he'd secured them, it wouldn't have made much of a difference because those teams already based inside the zone. Looking at Venya, Pixie, and Marius with Queasy's trio having fallen. Got it. This
That's a good high ground.
is the best opportunity to overtake Hayden.
Thomas down.
He goes down in the low
Vanyak,
ground.
Pixie, and Morris have won 8 finals games this season for most of any EU trio.
Spraying all these teams trying to pile into flooded frogs at the last minute. Pixie then hoping that he can pick up some leftover goods. Instead eats a few tags from Marius, and they just continue to tarp overhead. Vanya has been cracked though. He's got to be careful.
Look, they said it doesn't matter if we don't pull the 50-50 here. It doesn't matter if the zone goes to the opposite side. We're still holding on to this. And if any trio is going to get a win, if any trio is going to close this match out, Vanya, Marius, and Pixie have great odds to do so. As Sky Scroll and iDrop, incredible performance. So many eliminations already on the board. They were consistent in the first game. There's so many big names they can still hit.
They want to control that front side low, but they're going to have to deal with Tripper's team potentially. Potasai, X-Squeeze, and Art Skill also a little bit caught up here in the mid ground. You can tell they're trying to keep tabs. on height, but they just got to get it moving. They've got to make sure that they are in the front side. They don't want to get caught up in the mix of the congestion that's starting to really build inside of these mid to lower layers. And just
Yeah, how did Savage's team make it out alive? Wasn't they like low in HP just a second ago?
and Vadil have been quietly chipping away at these builds right in front of them. Storm Demas, they've got to be real careful here. They might not even be aware of the fact, but no, it's going to be Vadil instead who's collected. Pablo potentially the one benefiting in that process. But for Oxy's team, they look so incredibly unhealthy in comparison. I drop Sky, Scroll. They've managed to cut through, but it comes at a cost. Scroll yet again off in the process. And I drop.
To pick him up though, I think they can get the double. They're gonna be back in the game here, but they already have double digit.
Dixie is 1 HP exact. Not exact, but like 10, 5.
Holding on to height. They literally had a 12% win rate in the Div Cup finals. They know how to secure these victory royales, and now they want to do it in the major finals. Marius showing his fragging power as he drops down. Looks to pick up a quick refresh, but unable to do so. Is gonna play for safety once again.
Yeah, on second thought, Marius is like, I don't actually need to get involved just yet. I'm gonna fall back to where my teammates are at.
Savage lost team stand. Nope. Go down. Good placement though, good placement. What, 7th? That round?
But the zone, it's pulling back. This is massive now for the team on high. Marius, Pixie, Vanya, they are just letting every
Yeah, 7th, I think, game. That's pretty good.
eat themselves alive. Malabuka, Pink,
What's the placement points?
and be the catalyst here in the low ground. Generate.
Right, hold on. Oh, I'm screwing my chat. Give me a sec.
And if these other teams aren't careful, they might actually succeed. Pick Storm and Demas, though, they're preparing to try and shock the world, and it starts by taking out X-Weeze.
When they hit big, but you gotta be careful. You can't get stuck in the dirt. Pix is the only one that makes it out of his trio. Walks, Malabuka, Ping. They continue. The chemistry is looking stronger than ever as Vanya is looking to see, does he play this heal off? Is he gonna let his teammate frag? How can he close this one off? As Pixie picking up elimination after elimination. 4 on the board already as they prep themselves now for the final moments. The decision, how do we close this one out?
But Marius, he tries to tango in the low ground, instead gets punished for it. You've still got Pix way in the backside, trying to just play out a little bit of placement here. All the while, Ping walks Malabuka. They might even get the benefit here of a freebie siphon off of Pix if they recognize just how low he is, but it's also iDrop. iDrop's getting involved in the conversation here. Ping walks Malabuka, one of the only healthy trios left to remain, left to try and threaten, because aside from iDrop as a solo, it's only Vanya and Pixie up above in the skies. High versus low. How long can you hold out for, though? Ping walks Malabuka. The builds are running so incredibly low. They're trying to make sure that they keep steady height overhead. But Malabuka, he might be the one to be the difference maker. Vanya's gonna fall back. Vanya's trying to play for the heal off. Vanya needs to make sure he doesn't get tagged in the process. And he's got the Medmis grenade here, Takada. It might be the separating factor.
Has Pixie done enough damage? He got a knock. He cracked one of the players, but is it going to be enough to let Malabuka out-heal Vanya? Now, it's all up to who has more heals. Both players with the Chug Jug, Vanya with Chug Splashes. It's a matter of time to see who's able to close this one out. Vanya did an amazing job putting himself away from the aggression and now kind of looking around. Malabuka remembered that Chug Sprite, that water sprite was still there. They healed in the storm originally. Vanya trying to see if he can find any heal here. That's the difference maker, but unfortunately for Malabuka, Vanya is gonna out-heal, securing that victory royale for game number 2.
Ooh la la, Nikov, I know you are going absolutely crazy right now, witnessing a little bit of success here for the mates as game 2 goes the way. And I can't really establish them as an underdog trio at this point, Takada, because they've certainly been creating a name for themselves this season.
Look, there's a reason they have the most victory royales in the Div Cup finals. They know how to close these matches out. They know how to play the meta, and they did it perfectly throughout.
In order to qualify, do they have to get past place? Who? Who, Grayson? Who are you on about?
Having, Marius, Pixie drop down and fragging out when they needed to
So my mom's going to put a Wi-Fi company, so if my stream does go off or crash, it's because the Wi-Fi is getting reset from the company side.
and doing everything you need to close out that match.
just have to feel a little bit.
I'm not too sure how FNCS works too much. I don't know what fast place or anything gets on.
Isn't enough to seal the deal, Takada. Then what is? And that's something that only our analysts can answer.
Thank you very much, guys. Vanya, Pixie, and Marius, they're bringing back memories of Major Number 1 when they had a fantastic day one.
I'm
And
about
they
to say
do
about
it
it, fun.
again. Queasy wasn't around to take high ground. Well, it's up for grabs, and these guys took it and managed to maintain their ownership until the very end, Levin.
Yeah, and it seems like a bit of a trend for these guys.
Is there-
Queasy isn't around to play high. They're usually the ones that look to try take it themselves, and in those games, if they can make.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the format works. I'm not sure like what the point of it is.
For you to not have Queasy playing for height, you got to play them like this, and they did incredibly well there.
I think top 4 is what
I think this
matters.
is what Cammy saying Hari would have had if Queasy
From what
wasn't
I'm
in the
seeing
last game, right? They
on
dominated height for
Fortnite
large
tracker
parts of that
is
endgame, all
what
the way
1,
around
2,
to
3,
the
and
end.
4.
And of course they had
Yeah,
the
obviously I see
use
all
of
the placements, but I
takes
think
some
top 4 might
endurance,
be.
being able to prioritize those white heals at this stage of the game, so important for them. I want to highlight Pixie as well there at the end, just doing so much damage.
Yeah, let me go to
What an
Fortnite's official
amazing
competitive site.
performance.
Yeah, he was just going crazy. I mean, you know, we always see people obviously big up Vanya because he's been doing so well when compared to Fortnite and EU for a while. Marius, of course, gets all the hype on TikTok and whatnot, you know, after his pop-offs last year. But Pixie, this guy is one of the best fraggers in the region. Doesn't get the credit for it. But my oh my, if he can keep on putting on performances like this, he will start to get that credit in abundance.
When it comes to trios, we've heard a lot of the pros say that this is the kind of Fortnite where we're going to see the consistency from the juries that we know and love, and I feel like we're definitely going to see that this weekend. So we'll be back after this short break to talk about how our top trios fared in game number 2.
Okay, so in EU, wait. So check the way it works. Because we're in Major 2, EU, which we're watching right now, fast to 5th place is the advancement. In NAC, it's fast to third. In Brazil, it's fast. In Asia, it's fast. Oceania, fast. Middle East, fast. And North America, West, is fast. So in EU, you'd be top 5. So at the moment, the teams what are top 5 is iDrop, Sky, and Skull, Ping, Wox, and Malbaka, Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache, Dinnus, I don't know who that one was called, and Panic. And then the team was currently clinching the score points is Vanya, Pixie, and Marius. Coach number 1 team has 164 points, number 2 has 143, 3rd has 127, 4th has 116, and 5th has 112. 6th place has 88, so it's currently 24 points difference. No, that can't be right. Wait. Yeah, that can't be right, huh? I passed maths. I'm struggling right now with
Pixie
maths.
and Vanya took game number 2 in
34
the
points
G2
difference, chat.
Grand
34 points.
Finals. And let's talk about where our other trios came, because it was another
It's 34 points
hotly
difference.
contested endgame, ending with a
Every
very
kill is 4
dramatic
points. A
heat-up.
victory royale is
And that's what I
11.
want to talk about
Reaching top
came
6.
first.
Reaching top 2 is 6.
Hydrox
Reaching top
is
3 is
one of
4.
the players in the
Reaching
trio, I should say,
top
Millie, that you mentioned
3,
in the
4, and 5
pre-show
is
as
4. Reaching
potentially
top
booking
6 is
themselves
3.
a
So is
spot in the
top 7.
Global Championships in
A
Lyon
lot of
there.
it's
So
basically
they,
a lot of
this
so when you're
weekend
top 7
versus
in chat,
Dubai.
every
And it's
placement
confidence
until
paying
top
off
5 is 3 points.
Yeah, looking pretty good so far. First place, can't get much better than that. And
The
even
points
though
are
we
quite
get
close.
results, oh,
I remember
yeah,
back in
pretty
day
good.
chat
Of course,
where if you get a
obviously,
win,
we
it was
had
like
that
50
win, so
points or
that
40
was
points,
also
something like
happy,
crazy.
but,
Like it was a huge
looking
amount.
good though. Overall, iDrop, Sky, and Scroll, they're a team that we know can play end games very well. We know we broke down this last major as well about how good they are at playing
Savage is
all different
8th.
facets of the game, low, mid, and height. So they have all that in their locker, and it seems like everything seems to be
They're
coming
looking a
together
bit more.
right now for them. Just the way they're able to play Storm Surge that we broke down at the beginning.
Also, I
of
just
today,
noticed
and, I mean,
on the
that
YouTube
end
stream.
game from these guys, absolutely unreal. The way that iDrop was able to survive for so long was great, and just the amount of eliminations, Levin, that they were able to get was
Hello.
just so good for them.
Yeah, so much firepower in this team. I mean, look, myself and many other people in the community sort of felt like this team's honeymoon period had ended, you know, at the end of last season. What a great time to reignite the passion. I mean, if this is the time for that fire to come back, I mean, there's no better.
I need to
week ago.
take
A very brief story. After we lost them in the upper final kickoff, I kicked my foot out of frustration at how bad we got owned, and it hurt really bad. And I thought it healed, but it started hurting a lot a week ago, like a lot again. And my theory is that it's sentient, and it feels that G2 is coming. And I keep telling them, if we win, I think it's going to heal, just like that. So
like that.
forget all of the, you know, stay calm, cool, confident, do it for my foot. A very brief
Malabuka, Vox, and Ping, they are keeping up the momentum that they found in game number 1.
It's probably the last game I watched stream. If the Wi-Fi does go out, I don't want to like have it crash through the stream, so this might be the last game I watch.
The game before, I was like, yeah, like the way they play, man.
Game 3 is in 3 minutes.
But they're gonna get lots of good games and high eliminations, and they just almost came out and won straight away, which would have been funny. So thank you, Vanya, for saving me on that front. Regardless, though, this is what they do, right? And you know, it's funny to me, like I say, because a lot of people I think weren't too high on these guys coming in, like not as high as you would be considering their team that came second. Again, it wasn't a diss to them when I said like they're the boring team at the start, right? It's not like they're boring to watch, they're thrilling to watch. It's just, you know, they're the team that's already called globals, and in a good spot. It's almost too easy to say that they're gonna do well, right? But then they just come through and do well, and that's what you expect from veterans, that's what you expect from top.
Yeah, and to be honest, the way they played this game, it would be a win more often than not, right? In maybe 8 out of the 10 games, you'd probably win that game. The team on height wouldn't have, I think Vanya had like, what, 2 of those med miss. He had another chug, he had splashes. Like, it was just an absolute madness that he had up there in terms of heals. So I think the way they played that game was absolutely perfect. They just got to keep getting there. They just got to keep getting to that stage, and sat in second place right now, looking really good and showing us what they can do, which they haven't necessarily shown us what they can do in the last few weeks.
Do you have any concerns, though, Mini Minor, about this trio, despite the performance they've had so far?
I think the only way that I would be a little bit concerned is the fact they are already qualified to globals, so they might take a bit of a back seat, as Levin mentioned at the beginning of the show. You know, Malabuka's had that, of course, previously. I think last year it was Malabuka and Mustache winning, and then the next major they got like 6th, so it wasn't like an amazing sort of comeback of form for them. I don't expect them to drop all the way down, though. I think they're going to keep up what they're doing.
Well, it was an interesting game number 2, especially as we saw some of our big name trios, Veno's trio and Queasy's trio in particular, go down in the mid game. So let's see if they can pick themselves back up again and give us the game 3 we deserve as we head back to Takata and Taco.
One thing's for sure, everybody is going to be on super high alert because of what Vico, Veno, and Flixie have done throughout the course of the first 2 matches, Takata. But we are approaching the halfway point of day 1, match 3, nearly underway, and I'm excited to get into
Yeah, pick up match 3 chat right in stream.
Excited. It's like a mini game, right? Where's Vico, Veno, Flixie gonna land?
Here's up
You know,
Brooklyn.
Are they gonna end on Fordoxy's team? Are they gonna just keep going back and forth? Are they gonna do a new spot every time? All I know is that the battle bus is
You don't have a
ready, the
picture
engine
clicks.
started up, so let's get right into game number 3.
Surely they pay Fordoxy's team a visit at least once.
Come on.
I
At
don't
least
care
once.
if it's today.
Is this Saturday or Sunday show?
It's gotta be sometime though between
Saturday.
today and tomorrow, or I'm just gonna be.
I don't think we're going to have a video today.
Because
Monday, Wednesday,
Los Meadows is really where all of this started.
Friday. Yeah, I'll post a video episode. Why did I post that? You
I
should
think a little bit of influence over this
Whoops.
outcome currently too for the map is because he was the one that actually coached Doxy's team throughout the Last Chance qualifiers, just paying back a huge favor from the previous season, and for Doxy having taken the time to help out Queasy and Thomas when they were teamed up, doing a little bit of off-spawn practice. But that's neither here nor there. Can't get too caught up in the past because right now, Mr. Savage, Vidil, and Reason, they've got a whole mess to deal with at the Big Ben Tunnel as is expected. Chap, Tayson, everybody kind of just trying to find their footing. Skvi overhead. It might only be mere seconds before they clash, and Tayson just trying to keep himself protected, just trying to make sure he's united with Chicho and Atris. Doesn't want any unexpected blows early on.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much of this kind of fight conclude early on. Normally both trios have been making it out. In terms of Vico,
Bundy, it's
Benno,
low.
Flixie, though, I'm hoping it's not just Vico. Okay, all three of them are good. It looks like they're kind of playing more of the split route, and then from the split, you know, third party, whichever team is fighting it out. But looks like they're back closer to Outlaw once again,
Have I?
but haven't started the third party.
But you know, probably one of the best IGLs in Fortnite, from what I've seen and heard. But I don't know if his teammates are up for his playstyle. You know?
3-piece eliminations successfully in each of those lobbies. But you want to keep that ball rolling.
If I'm not mistaken, chap, the last game they played, they was like constantly rushing people, and they paid for it, like, and died from them.
Repeat from Flixie if he's not careful. Just one receiving end too many of those warning shots. Focus, Yanis, for
1, 2,
Strokey, they are
3.
closing in.
Oh god.
It's like, what,
This is
4 or 5
actually a
trios
world
here,
champ.
Coco? This
Too
is,
many trios.
a whole cluster. They talked about clusters, you know, trying to find areas where you have a good opportunity to kind of take shots at each other, but this is like a whole party, and I don't think these players want to take that on so quickly into this match. So although Focus with Strokey and Yanis got some good tags onto Vico, Benno, and Flixie, they're not going to continue pushing through. They saw the danger that entails.
Just would have been a self-sabotage if they actually kept trying to pressure Benno, Vico, Flixie. From the approach that they were making, they could tell way too many teams in the distance, just like we knew. A little bit less flooded, though, at Flooded Frogs. Vanya, Marius, Pixie, trying to make quick work of their off-spawn, just building up their loop path, and wanting to see if they can be a reoccurring theme to find those Victor Royales in this Major 2 finals.
Going back into Vico, Benno, Flixie. In Crime City. Looks like they're going to be opening up the vault here. I'm trying to see, yeah, it's Chap that doesn't want to let that one slide too easily. They know that they were going up against Tayson at the drop spot. You want to go to areas
Yeah,
where
they might
there
bomb,
already is
bro.
a trio fighting. To be kind of
See him
that
fight everyone.
third one in there, but Vico's going to get cracked. Just one shot away from getting knocked down. Flixie makes it into the vault, and that was a close one, but Chap still does not want to let that one slide.
Just because you're in the vault, though, doesn't mean that you're actually going to be able to make it out. And Vico, he's relatively hurt. But sure, Venno, Flixie, Vico, they might have the benefit for the time being of controlling the vault.
Yeah, there's so many teams here.
They might actually just find themselves trapped unless Faded, Moneymaker, and F9 have something to say about it. They could potentially indirectly force Chapsky and Teeny away from this location inside of Crime City's vault, but Chap does not want to let Venno's team wiggle their way out of this one. Even if there's pressure spilling in from elsewhere, they are determined to stick around and see
Just have Pro falling to
some
that, bro.
damage done onto Venno's team, if not successfully eliminating them.
I like how it's not even Tayson's trio that's kind of like around here. It's Moneymaker's trio. Tayson's like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'll let you guys do your thing. I'm going to continue on with my route. And it looks like It's also how they let Vico, Veno, and Flixie make it out of the vault. Decided, you know, you can only wait so long.
No, they're trying to be so careful. They know this is too good to be true if it usually is. In that scenario, this Vico, couple of shots being fired. Fenai, Moneymaker faded. They want to close in. Issues definitely continuing to build though. Now checking in with Magic Mosses, Darn, Pix, Demus. They love utilizing the black market at Magic Mosses. But it could potentially come at a price they're not willing to pay just yet. Recognizing that cringe Volko Kiddo a little bit faster to the punch.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it before. They tend to get like these really big games or kind of mid games, right? Got 27th, game 1, 4th, game 2. So we'll see if Demus, Storm, and Pix can kind of figure out what's going wrong. But the leaders of the pack, Mini Miner with a smile on his face. I drop Sky and Scroll. Getting a bit of that fire once again, like Levin was alluding to. But, you know, in this part of the game, they're not taking those risks. They're just, you know, taking shots where they see them. And I don't think we'll kind of see them get into an engagement here.
It's not the first time that we've seen this trio leading on the placements for a leaderboard in a major finals, but holding it is a completely separate conversation, and that's something that they're going to have. Ooh, Sky.
Oh,
might want to direct his. You might want to sit this one out.
He might have been looking at the sky too long or something. I don't know what went wrong.
Bro, he playing so FNCS. Where's his teammate, bro?
He's not getting turbo keyed for it. That could change though on a moment's notice. All of these teams in their cases, it's almost like
I think it's like match be up for me. I got so much to level in math today.
A safety net, because you would think that teams wouldn't be willing to get up close and personal, but when you get massive tags like that,
I'm not trying to do it Google search.
it's almost impossible to not want to get more directly involved. It's Vico, Veno, Flixie, Crime City. This is a very familiar background for them, and getting that initial elim onto Faded is definitely going to help out with their current predicament, but they're still having to deal with Chap and Teeny. Svi revisiting Fenai, Moneymaker, also trying to make sure that they can play for a little bit of backup. Even if they're a little bit split, it won't necessarily prevent them from completely engaging with this fight.
I mean, the good news is they do have that black market close by. They have the option to kind of get some heals, but in the meantime, you don't want to like fully take these fights. They got the knock, but with a trio and a duo in the surrounding area, you know, not too worth it. But Teeny, Chap, and Skibidi might want to capitalize on that now that they're left alone. Levin was talking about this. Queasy and Merstash, they have this kind of mountain they like to play on a little south of Seaport, and a perfect to continue there. It opens up the option to kind of take shots at all the trios that have to rotate through the south side of the map.
And is it 540? Why would they say?
Typically, you'd see teams trying to surge base on the north and south sides of Seaport to just fully control.
I think I might have a
they're just exclusively
dog and chips on that.
They're focused towards that southern border. They want to prevent any teams from having those freer rotates, and they know that they can stick around. Got fishing options if need be. And other teams just looking to utilize those black markets instead. Reason could use a little bit of help here dealing with Twy. So immediately Badil looks to play backup, but Mr. Savage also making sure that they can finish what they started. And Twy, Hollow, they've definitely been off to a rough start here today.
It's like a constant hunt, right? It's like Mr. Savage, Badil, and Reason. You know, they didn't want to be contested, but when they were, they're like, okay, we're going to fight. Doesn't matter if we don't do it in the early game. We're going to fight you. And it's clearly going their way. Even if they end up picking their eliminations a little later on, I mean, they still get the job done. As iDrop has gone down, our leading trio. Was it just iDrop? Is Sky and Scroll still looking good? We'll have to see kind of how they're able to come back if they even have the
Well,
chance
Plastic
to.
alive.
Pink.
Yeah, find out next time.
They haven't said or anything. It's good so far.
These scans back over, but they're not the only ones dealing with a little bit of a predicament. Pump power, Demon's Dojo split smack dab in the center of the action. Pink, Kiro, Nebs, and Pink. He's got a lot of faith in his teammates. Kiro, distinctly, the fact that Pink would put him in such high regard and just constantly gassing up his trio mate. That's a lot of confidence to instill, and could go a long ways for them. Here dealing with Volko, Kiddo, Cringe, Volko trying to see if he can get something started. Cringe, crouching, lurking, just waiting for Nebs to overpeak for a moment. He might even be able to approach from a blind line of sight. Nebs isn't careful, but Pink, he's gonna be the real one under duress here. Pink forced to drop immediately, but Cringe, Volko, they weren't able to finish him off. And that's gonna allow Pink a moment to just reunite with the rest of his team.
Pink had a rough start to 2025. It would be nice to see him, have a great performance here in the major finals. They're already doing a decent job in 7th place, so all they have to do is kind of hold on in these early to mid games and keep getting to those lates. As we look at one of the most, if not the most consistent trios throughout the day today.
I wonder how much these costs are getting paid, Jeb.
Levin mentioned it. I mean, they're already qualified to the global championship alongside Vico, Benno, and Flixie, but they are still showing why they ended up qualifying in just the first major of the year.
Hey, Lone Wolf might not have a black market, but it does have a vault and plenty of resources to kind of build off of. That is for sure the intention behind Malibuca's team. I drop Sky and Scroll though, all back together yet again. So successful rescue mission by Sky and Scroll. I drop definitely going to be happy to be back in action with his teammates, but they've got a lot of heavy lifting to do here, Takada. They are so far out in Storm, and even if they're able to make a pass next to that backwards black market, they're still so far behind on Surge now compared to what they'd probably started off with.
I got faith though. I mean, starting off so strong with matches, that big, it gives you a good kind of motivation boost moving into the next ones. A good bit of confidence if you have to take those fights. A Sangold actually just got knocked in front of them to Storm. If they have the right timing, they might be able to make something happen. Kami said Ihari, it looked so good starting off the day. They were pulling all the zones, but in game 2, they weren't quite able to put on the performance that they would have wanted to. So hopefully now they can kind of fix up their mistakes.
You will never be able to convince me that Seti, Kami, and Hari aren't a leading favorite, though, when they are uncontested and in a competitive meta that prioritizing dealing with these surge bases. These guys are potent as ever. And Kami, he's just going to focus up on making sure that they've got more than enough mats, more than enough materials to work with for wherever they decide to rotate next. Hardy and Seti holding the teams on an island at bay. Akira, spot of trouble here. He's got pressure coming in from team outside.
I don't think I've ever been on this island or contested that island yet, chat. But I would never do that in a tournament, bro. Fighting a boss and then having to deal with like 5 parties is not it.
Unfortunately for him, the Shogun playing a huge part. Kurama,
That's literally why I would not.
to utilize a double
Like,
revive,
it's good for high ground, but I'm still on an island during the tournament, bro.
be a tick for the Aussie Antics bingo board, right?
The Shogun 1v3 would be crazy if he continued for us. We can see a replay of how this kicked off, though. Huge shot onto Cringe, kind of gave them that upper hand in the fight. But Vico, Benno, Flixie once again battling it out. Vico has been eliminated. Flixie falls shortly after, and now it's all up to Benno as he goes down. 26th place once again, matching their placement from last match. This is not what you want to see from a trio that's already qualified to the global championship.
But what's crazy is that this started off in Crime City, and now Chaptini, they actually chased out Venom's trio all the way to the likes of Lone Wolf Lair. And it might just pay the ultimate price here because Jewel, Sandguild, they are clearly on the hunt for a little bit of additional surge damage. If not, just getting that siphon in the first place. But Jewel just not healthy enough to match it. Teeny finds the shots. Able to switch out that infiltrator now for a sentinel pump, and that is already a massive win for Chaptini, as now they leave Lone Wolf with 7 eliminations. But they want to bring Skvi back into this.
Yeah, and they'll be able to do exactly that. I mean, they cleaned up that fight at the same time, basically. As you can see, they not only finished up the previous one quickly, but this is huge for Chaptini and Skvi. They're looking like they're in a kind of rough spot to play out this tournament, but they're making the best out of it. And it looks like Nom's out. Hollow and Twy are now at Seaport. They did kind of have that battle against Mr. Savage in the early game. I believe 2 of them went down, but having to go against Mr. Savage into Queasy shortly after, this is not really the position you want to be in.
This is exactly what Queasy's team was after. They opt to stick around so often inside the storm because they know we can play the dead side rotates, we can play the wraparound angles, and we can also look to punish teams that are playing
Fortnite earbuds officials.
Storm, Twy, Noms, just more bodies being added to the count here. The Swizzy, Mustache, and Queasy will now have the luxury of picking which direction they head next because Avahalo has been capitalized on. Queasy will need the double revive, but no real pressure for concern just yet.
iDrop, Sky, and Scroll, they're back in the game. They had a rough start, though, after iDrop ended up getting knocked, and now, as iDrop's gotten eliminated, Sky and Scroll, or at least, are able to pick up a couple knocks, and alongside that, some eliminations as well. But they gotta be careful. Sky's already fully cracked. Scroll has to try and finish focus off. There's more trios in the surrounding area. They're dead center of zone. All eyes are going to be on them. They have to finish this up quickly, but as Sky gets knocked, Scroll's left alone. It's going to be impossible to bring them back in the game. This is not an ideal situation for the #1 trio in the lobby right now.
1 step forward, 2 steps back. They might have been able to get the reboot off onto iDrop, but you don't get to pick and choose your fights after that. When you are so low on Surge, even with the eliminations they did gather, they were just so incredibly low there. Takata, be very surprised to see them make something out of that scenario in comparison to a trio like Malibuca, Walks, and Ping just chilling at Magic Mosses, currently in a position that could look to definitely control who actually gets to go in and out of this backwoods black market.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting depending on where this zone pulls as well for this late game, how close the black market is. It's interesting how many trios are still, you know, outside the zone despite getting closer and closer to that 7th zone where storm damage is 5 ticks per second. They know that there's got to be those trios that are playing zone kind of making their way in now.
The zone's currently 2 tick.
Scroll has nowhere left to run though. He's just trying to pick off whatever shots he can. But when you're gazing out
That's
into
5 tick
distance
now.
as a solo in 7th
The one
zone
side
of
storm
all
was a bit,
places,
like,
Takata,
stupid
it
and
is
nigga out.
so difficult to actually try
I come up for the
and
hills
convert
quicker
this
than Storm still.
into anything more than maybe a handful of extra placement points.
Ooh.
And already Scroll, the moment that he pops up, focus
What?
immediately looking to take advantage, but the slide knockoff actually takes out focus. Scroll will end up
That's
also
mental.
eliminated in the mix-up here.
Bro,
but it's
that's
just
like
the
an
fact that
accidental as
he
well.
didn't get slide knocked in the first place.
That is insane to knock off your opponent like that, elim him to fall down.
Imagine if we managed to
You
get a kill in
know,
last
it's
second though.
fair.
Just
Not too much trouble so far.
finishing up that kill would have been a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, the rotate's gonna be more difficult. They gotta use some whites now. That is quite unfortunate. Now,
206 damage, most
high ground,
damage of a
Mr.
pistol
Savage here, right under, I believe,
from Mr.
Queasy's
Savage.
whole trio here. They're playing for that 8th zone pull. Will it pull towards them? Will it not? I don't know if they care. they might go for it either way, but so far their job, do enough damage and be ready for whatever happens when that 8th zone appears.
So long as Queasy is in a lobby, much less a finals lobby, you can never expect height to be a guarantee for anyone who isn't Queasy. Mustache, Swizzy, just keeping tabs on the flanks, trying to ensure that the direction that they choose to head next is completely cleared out.
Now,
I would appreciate it, great.
Despite getting 15th in the last match, he is still leading the whole lobby in terms of damage. Almost 3,000 damage, second place at 2,400 being Mustache. I mean, this guy does not miss. 300 above already. They've got that elimination, but Reason has gone down. Savage and Vidil, they fought Queasy, Swizzy, Mustache. They wanted to play for that height. They lost now both of their teammates. Savage is left alone, and at just 27 HP, a sliver of HP, one tick of surge would be all it takes, but they go down before being able to pick up those points in the late game. That is a crucial, devastating end to game 3.
And Swizzy knew that it's Chap and Teeny now on the other end of this mid-ground layer, because Mustache, he kind of kick-started all of this, finding that initial elimination onto Reason, then continuing his aggression onto Vidil, one after the next. That didn't leave Mr. Savage anywhere to run aside from into the hands of Chap, Teeny, and Svi. Cammy, Hari, Seti trying to take advantage of a lot of the confusion that was starting to build. But overhead on the bridge, cranking up. Cammy wants a little piece of the pie here. When the height conversation starts to take place, this is definitely one of our teams that can heavily threaten Queasy.
Not only did the zone not pull towards Queasy and Savage, but they ended up fighting, like you said, Talk, when it caused Cammy, Seti, and Harry to
I was already dead.
take that high position once again, similar to game
I was zoomed up for a minute. I was just like relaxed there and zoomed out.
To be able to hold this on all the way to the last moving zone, but Pixie, Marius, and Vanya are trying to maybe even chop them down here. They're so close to doing so. This could kind of disrupt them, not only in positioning, but cause them to use a lot more materials once again.
Cammy, Seti, and Hari, they know it can be very difficult to keep control of those teams in your underbelly of that secondary height. Malabuka,
Yeah, I think Savage is team dead.
but they're not looking
Rip.
to let up the pressure anytime soon either.
Good pistol dodge.
Immediately
Good kill as well.
taking out Keto. All eyes focus onto Teeny now. He's just under so much heavy fire. The focal point of Malabuka's trio. But Malabuka gonna close off their backside and now continue to tarp his way forward. Doesn't want to get caught in congestion. Mustache and Sweezy though, they've lost Queasy as a duo. A
Good
dynamic
kill.
duo at that. Big elimination onto Darkies. That's gonna be an extended lifeline for sure.
Another kill again.
One for Mustache. He can't keep getting away with this. Prax shut down in the crossfire as Mustache now looking to control this secondary height.
Amazing rotate.
Material goes a long way for him and Swizzy.
Just getting started when you got two fraggers of this caliber going at it. They're able to clean up a good amount of eliminations as Thomas HD with the pre-edits, looking to see if they can even pick up a refresh. Just 11 builds onto Thomas now. Zone pulling slightly up this hill. So many
Thomas has
triggers
no
to
white
go.
heals.
It opens up that option to kind of take shots on the ones especially low on shield. Where will this pull? It's going to pull towards
Oh, they only have white heals.
to keep elevating themselves. Good for the trios down.
Cammy does.
Cammy, Seti, Harry doing an amazing job of maintaining.
I think he has one splash.
Pixie now ahead of the zone.
But Mattias and Pixie, they were looking a little bit low, a little bit stressed on their damage. No longer a concern though. The lobby is thinning out at a rapid rate here. Seti gonna be the first one to drop. Cammy, Hardy still overhead. Seti now looking to see if he can find a point of connection.
Yeah, Cammy has 6 women.
Cammy directly
So he can actually
overhead,
survive
just
Storm for like 12
continuing
seconds.
to
12 seconds,
ensure that no one can threaten Poland up top. They want their Polska Gura moment, that's for sure. And Swizzy, barely any HP left to work with. A singular tag would be
For like
enough
6 seconds,
to take him out. But he has other plans instead. It's
Good
gonna be
pick for Swizz.
on the receiving end. Swizzy waiting for that siphon to take over, and Swizzy just continuing to manage to squeeze his way through that pullback as
Oh.
well. That elimination onto Akira. They never saw it coming. Swizzy, just a madman.
Swizzy is not finished, as now that siphon is put him
But
back
Swizzy's
up.
actually so clutch right now.
Shield, 100 HP to work with, looking
No way.
healthier than
No way.
earlier. The issue is so many trios around them. Marius, though, close by. One shot could be all it takes to pick Harry's decides he's gonna get to a less congested side of the zone, but
Unlucky,
going
unlucky
down,
boy.
it's gonna be Fredoxy with a double jump.
Fredoxy! Oh.
This was a massive risk though from Fredoxy. He ate so much damage from Storm. Wax has no idea though, but Fredoxy wasn't able to close
He needs
the
pop
gap.
chug jug if he can.
They've continued
Pixie
to
down.
press forward in the low ground, and Pixie now punished for it from behind. Wax takes him out.
Obviously got his health back up a little bit.
Way up in the skies though, the zone continuing to pull over this hill face, and this is all but said and done here as Cammy, Seti, Hari just trying to spray out these last couple of remaining opponents on the low ground.
Good
Malibuca
pick.
Wax doing so much heavy lifting. They've taken out Chino.
Nice.
But they know what lies at the end of this tunnel. They're gonna have to deal with Poland eventually. And Seti, Hari, Cammy, they don't want to let this opportunity slip by. They know exactly what they've got in their favor, and they are taking full positional advantage here. Seti closing in, Vanya cleaned up
He has
amongst the
one.
mess, and Wax hoping that he can get some form of a heal off in tow. Still 5 splashes though for Cammy.
They're gonna need a insane heal off for Wax if he wants to come out
Wax.
on top.
Unlucky.
Perfect zones for Cammy, Seti, and Hari. All they had to do was capitalize on it, and they have done it. I love to see a victory royale from this trio. So
Chat, I'm pretty sure.
performed to
I'm
expectations.
confident,
They made it one. They've been the
but
most consistent trio throughout the divisional cup
Malibuca,
finals here in
Wax,
Major
and
two.
Ting are 100% qualifying.
Finals
They've done 2
uncontested,
phase points right now.
being able to take home
Well, about
the
207,
win
176, 168, 168.
exactly what we've been waiting for.
And a statement game as well from
Don't entry me yet, but I'm not sure when Wi-Fi might go out. So I'll have it in gym now and then have it go out later on.
Keeping full control, suppressing the low ground layers, suppressing the mid ground layers.